is Tanitsu, and today we'll be getting into part 2 of What If Naruto Was no Otsutsuki. For part 3, you'll have to 20 likes, but without further ado, let's just get straight into part 2. Now, for a quick recap of episode 1, Minato was born to two unknown Otsutsuki parents who left him with the chakra fruit in their last days on Earth before they left, completely forgetting about their son, who was then crowned the fourth Hokage in his later years, and died by the night of his hand, leaving his only son, without being, of course, Naruto, with his power and the Nine Tails. Now Naruto had successfully beaten a Chunin in a one-on-one and impressed many by learning the multi-shadow clone jutsu, but let's just get into the interesting parts now. As Naruto was treated to some ramen by Iruka, he explained to him all music he did, but as that is not important to this what if, we'll just have a time skip. Now Naruto was sitting in the academy, Sakura on his right and the famed Sasuke on his left, who he disliked greatly. Sasuke was the only one in the class who was way better than him in most things. Naruto had way more potential and power, and in general strength, but Sasuke just had the refined skill Naruto had been wanting all this time, which annoyed Naruto, of course, as he wanted to be number one. But he'd settle for number two. Not! He was furious that he wasn't number one, but as he couldn't change much about that, he just kept it to himself. Suddenly Iruka walked in and told everyone which teams they were in, but the only important part would be that Sakura was now in Team 8, and to Naruto's delight, Iruka shouted, Team 7, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto grinned, which turned to pure delight, as the next name was called. Hinata Hyuga. He spun around and grinned at Hinata, a slight blush appearing on his cheeks, but that was nothing compared to Hinata, who just fainted in her seat with a bright pink face, although there was a tiny smile there. Then the next name was called up, and Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto's face went from pure delight to stone. Why? Why must the system do this to him? But he wasn't the only disappointed one, as not only did Sasuke actually give some sort of emotional reaction, that being a little bit of disgust, but the girls all around them stared daggers at Hinata, who dared to be in the same team as Sasuke. That should be me, one girl whispered. She doesn't deserve that, another girl whispered. She's weird. No one likes her, Sakura said loudly in an angry tone, but suddenly a pencil flew right at her forehead, thrown by Naruto. Shut up or I'll make your forehead not the only disgusting part about you, he spat at her in anger. Naruto developed a tiny crush on Hinata, and seeing Sakura disrespect her like that, after having been disrespected all his life, infuriated him. Hinata almost fainted again, as she blushed so hard you couldn't tell the difference between her and a tomato. Now team after team left with their senseis, until only Team 7 was left. Naruto had sat over to Hinata, who was now completely passed out, while Sasuke was just sitting there, attempting to be as edgy as possible, like always, until suddenly the door flung open and in stepped Kakashi, who told them, Let's not chat here. How about we meet on the roof? Then disappeared. The two kids, Naruto of course had to carry Hinata as she was still put out, ran out and jumped up to the roof, where Hinata awakened to see herself next to Naruto and Sasuke. This time she didn't faint, but she still had a very, very not faint red blush, as Kakashi began to explain what they were doing. Now, at first, you'll be introducing yourselves, names, likes, dislikes, and future goals. And then he introduced himself as well after the request of Naruto. Then they moved on to the first person, that being Hinata. I'm Hinata Hyuga. My likes. I like many things. My dislikes. I don't know. My future goals are to become a person my father can be proud of. She gave a weak smile as they moved on to Sasuke. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I hate a lot of things, and I don't particularly like anything. What I have is not a dream, because I will make it a reality. I'm going to restore my clan and destroy a certain somebody. Kakashi was a bit surprised at this kid's rather interesting goals, but then moved on to Naruto, saying, Your turn. Naruto instantly started. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I like instant ramen in a cup, and I really like the ramen Iruka-sensei got me at Ichiraku Noodle Shop. But I hate the 3 minutes you have to wait after you pour the water in the ramen cup. My hobby is eating different kinds of ramen and comparing them. And my future dream is to be the greatest Hokage. Then the whole village will stop disrespecting me and start treating me like I'm somebody important, and to bring peace to the entire world. Kakashi gave him a smile, but realized Naruto couldn't really see it under his mask, but just continued. Alright, you're all boring. They were all a bit surprised, but then he continued. Meet me at 8 a.m. tomorrow at the training grounds. He then disappeared as he wanted to read a book of a very interesting genre which had just released the previous day. The next day, everyone showed up exactly on time, and they were stuck waiting until 12 p.m., where Kakashi showed up and explained everything about the belt test. And now, three, two, one, go! Everyone disappeared, except for Naruto, who just stood there smirking. Kakashi was a bit surprised at Naruto's sheer stupidity. Kakashi was a Jonin after all, and Naruto isn't even a Genin yet, but he's still going to fight him head on like this? Stupid. Or is it? Before Kakashi even arrived, Naruto, Sasuke, and Hinata made a plan in case they were about to fight Kakashi sensei, and this was just the first step of their plan. Suddenly, Naruto jumped toward Kakashi at astounding speeds and started to taijutsu battle the man. And just wow, Naruto's taijutsu was already at a level higher than that of a Chunin, if not even higher than that. His pure strength actually made Kakashi put his book away and actually start fighting him semi-seriously. Suddenly behind him, another energy source came flying at him, and it was Sasuke, who also joined in on the fight, and Kakashi almost revealed his Sharingan. But he didn't have the chance to, as in front of him, the trump card of the plan appeared, and Naruto and Sasuke gave a quick smirk, and Naruto even told her, "Good job," as Hinata started performing the 32 palm jutsu on Kakashi, who was actually hit by every single one of them, as he was currently distracted, and then fell down. Whilst it wasn't as good as the 64 palm jutsu, but it still did kind of block 32 paths of chakra and temporarily disabled movement for Kakashi, which made it possible for Naruto to withdraw the bells from the strings and threw one to each Hinata and Sasuke, giving them a thumbs up. I didn't mind going without lunch, but that was a complete lie as his stomach growled loudly. But Kakashi held up a hand as he got up smiling. "You all passed," which confused everyone, but he waved his hand, telling them, "This test wasn't about getting the belts or anything, it was to test your teamwork and friendship, as, in the ninja world, those who break the rules are scum, but those who abandon their friends are worse than scum." And then he gave them another thumbs up and asked, "Now, who wants ramen?" And Naruto jumped in surprise and happiness as they all went out to get ramen and then started their lives as Konoha Genin. Now we'll just skip ahead to the third, giving them permission to go on the Land of Waves mission. As Tazuna walked in, he was a bit surprised by the team who was going to escort him and asked, "What is that girl going to do to protect me? She looks like she'd be down in one punch." He laughed a little, but suddenly Naruto sped up toward him, escaping Kakashi's grasp, who was trying to hold him back until Tazuna, "Take that back right now," and slowly withdrew a kunai, but the third stopped him, telling him, "Naruto, stop." To which Naruto nodded, put his kunai back in his pouch, and walked back lazily. Tazuna was apologizing so much you'd think he committed murder, so the next day they moved on to their mission. As they began their journey, everything was completely fine until Naruto sensed an evil presence amongst them. But the size of it was quite puzzling. As he stopped everyone, "Wait, I sense something." "This puddle?" He suddenly threw a kunai at it, and two men jumped out and attempted to kill Kakashi, but before they could even do anything, Naruto punched one of them so hard that they were thrown into a tree, completely knocking them out and destroying the tree, while Sasuke took care of the second one. Then they bound them to a large tree and walked off. As they walked, Naruto couldn't get rid of the feeling of unease. As he walked, he constantly felt a sudden burst of killing intent from somewhere, but he never knew where. But it always quickly disappeared for no reason, until suddenly Kakashi tackled them all to the god, and as a massive blade came flying through the sky, and the legendary Zabuza appeared in the blade. "Kakashi of the Sharingan." Sasuke looked around in confusion, but Zabuza continued, "Let me get that man, and I'll leave you and your little children alone," he said, pointing at the bridge builder, but Kakashi stood in front of them and nodded over to a place signaling where they should start the fight. There the fight began. And everything went exactly with the same as Kakashi often got the best of Zabuza, but after a single trip he was trapped. Zabuza didn't seem like he was going to take his hand away from the water prison, but suddenly, after some planning, Sasuke threw a gigantic shuriken, then another one. The first shuriken, something very thin glinted in the sunlight, which seemed to be connected from Sasuke's hand to the shuriken, but no one saw except for them. Whilst the second just zoomed past Zabuza completely. Zabuza easily dodged both and left, but suddenly Sasuke smirked as the second shuriken transformed into Naruto, who performed the Wind Style, Gale Palm, and the first shuriken was pulled back by not only the chakra strings attached to them by Sasuke, but also with the speed of the Gale Palm. And Zabuza was hit square in the back with them, causing him to fall over, grunting in pain as he started to bleed heavily. But before Kakashi could restart the fight, a mysterious Anbu came to collect the body, thanking them for their help in killing Zabuza, then disappearing into thin air, as Kakashi was brought to Tazuna's hut to recover. And everything from that point went solar. The canon just that Naruto had even more difficulty with mastering walking up trees because of the rather interesting chakra dynamics in his body, but after a while he mastered it. But one day he fell asleep in a flower bed where he met Haku, and that exchange happened as well. Now, a very important day comes up. Hinata, Sasuke, and Kakashi went off to the bridge to supervise its building and make sure they're all safe, but Naruto still oversleeps, protects Tazuna's grandson, then runs to the fight at max speed, where he saw Sasuke and Kakashi fighting Zabuza, while Hinata was fighting Haku, and she didn't look very good, as she had wounds all over her body and was very bloody. Suddenly, the ground beneath Naruto shook, and everyone turned around suddenly a crater appeared around Naruto as orange chakra came out of his body, and a strange whitish blue chakra was enveloping him as well. How? How dare you hurt her? And he flew at Haku with such power that the bridge shook from his presence alone. I'll kill you! His eyes no blood red, with two tomas in each eye. Now, I hope you all enjoyed this part of the what if, but without taking up too much of your time, be sure to like the video, etc. This was Tenitsu, and I am out.